take a look at Hurricane Fernanda, and is now up around 18 degrees north and almost 140 degrees west. And you can see on the last few frames when it goes over to the visible that the center of circulation is right here. There really isn't a lot going on with respect to thunderstorms around most of the center. There's one area in the northeastern quadrant. You can see it right in there. This is continuing to weaken as it moves toward the west or west-northwest. And before this is all said and done, this is going to be a remnant low that's going to wind up going by north of the Hawaiian Islands with no real impact. And here's the wider view of all of this. And here you have Fernanda. You have a very weak tropical depression right here. You can see how poorly organized it is because it. Hi everybody, meteorologist Joe Chaffee here on this very hot Thursday. So I thought I would start with the tropics, and we could take a look at Hurricane Fernanda, and is now up around 18 degrees north and almost 140 degrees west. And you can see on the last few frames when it goes over to the visible that the center of circulation is right here. There really isn't a lot going on with respect to thunderstorms around most of the center. There's one area in the northeastern quadrant. You can see it right in there. This is continuing to weaken as it moves toward the west or west-northwest. And before this is all said and done, this is going to be a remnant low that's going to wind up going by north of the Hawaiian Islands with no real impact. And here's the wider view of all of this. And here you have Fernanda. You have a very weak tropical depression right here. You can see how poorly organized it is because it is basically getting sheared apart by the outflow from Fernanda and the outflow from Tropical Storm Greg, which actually looks a little better defined this morning as it moves toward the west. And there's actually two other systems, one off screen closer to the Mexican coast, but this one right here behind Greg that looks like it's trying to organize. So it's kind of this parade of tropical systems on the Pacific side, where as on the Atlantic side, we have a couple of tropical waves that really aren't expected to do very much. You can see this disorganized showers across much of the eastern Atlantic. Again, all still south of 10 degrees north, and you have this tropical wave that's moving northwestward that has some thunderstorms with it, but nothing here is expected to develop. And it's not a real surprise if you look at what's going on. You've got this upper low sitting east of the Bahamas. You've got this big upper low that's in the central Atlantic. So it's really creating hostile conditions across much of the Atlantic basin. And on top of that, you've got this dry air issue that continues in the Atlantic. You can see it here north of the tropical activity that's down mainly south of 10 degrees north, although it looks like it's trying to push northward. And you've got dry air east of the islands and in the eastern Caribbean, north of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic out through here. All of this dry air would not be conducive for tropical storm development. And then you've got moisture throughout the Gulf of Mexico, but here's another upper low that's spinning around in the high layers of the atmosphere in the central Gulf. So everywhere you look, you got hostile conditions for development. And on the Pacific side, again, Hawaii getting shear strong winds, southwest winds from some kind of system that's out well to the east of them. And you've got this dry air that's in between Fernanda, which is falling apart. You can see on the water vapor imagery how it's continuing to weaken. The depression here, which is very disorganized, if there's even much left to it. And then you have Tropical Storm Greg, and then you have the disturbed weather to the east of that. So busy, busy, busy. Meanwhile, we go here into our oven that we have across much of the northeast into the northern mid-Atlantic states with temperatures today in the low to mid 90s. We have a lot of sunshine at the moment, but we also have a little weather front here that's pushing through the Great Lakes with some thunderstorms, and that opens the door for the possibility of some severe weather late this afternoon and tonight. In the west, it's pretty much the same story. Dry. You've got some diurnal showers and thunderstorms going on through much of the Rockies, and then you've got these storms that are running across parts of Nebraska and South Dakota and into the Great Lakes. which has been the place to be, I guess, this year for thunderstorm activity. You can see it here at midday. Nothing well developed at the moment. We're probably going to start to see storms firing up late this afternoon in western Pennsylvania, and then reaching this area here sometime later this evening or through the first part of tonight. And from the Storm Prediction Center, we have a marginal risk of severe weather through much of New England, through Long Island, the northern half of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, area of slight risk. If you draw a line from, say, southwestern PA to northeastern PA, from there, that diagonal line north and west affords a slight risk of severe weather, and into parts of western New York, back through Ohio and Indiana. And then you've got another area of slight risk in eastern Montana, the westernmost Dakotas, and eastern Wyoming. So going forward, just want to take a look at the upper air pattern. We have this vortex that's sitting up in central Canada, kind of driving the flow up that way. Here's your big ridge. It's not exactly, kind of moved a little bit into western Oklahoma. So that's where most of your heat is, underneath that ridge, most of the sustained heat. And we're on the edge of this, so we're getting some of that heat here on a bit of a west wind. You got a trough off the west coast. Now, going forward, we've been saying, troughing in the east, not any kind of deep trough, but just enough. Troughing in the east, ridge in the west. And as we go through the weekend and into next week, probably going to see a little break in the humidity late Friday and on Saturday, but the temperatures are still going to be quite warm to hot, especially on Friday. And then this trough swings eastward, so there'll be an increasing chance of showers and storms beginning on Sunday and probably lasting into early Tuesday, because that trough stretches out a little bit before it finally swings through. So the middle part of next week, we could get a nice little break for a day or so. And that trough kind of lingers there in the east later next week. You can see it here, stretching back southwestward. Your ridge is back through the Rockies. Your flow in Canada is just about like this. Not getting a true northerly flow, but you're getting some air out of Canada, which gives a little bit of relief. But that trough is going to linger right along the coast there through the last weekend of July. And then, again, it's more of the same idea longer term. You still have a tendency for some, troughing here in the eastern states. Nothing especially deep, but enough of a flow that you get weather system after weather system to move along. Part of the ridge in the west splits out and goes offshore. Then another upper high looks like it's forming over Texas. So you would think that, given the pattern we've been in, that will eventually build back up in the western part of the United States and get a little bit more troughing down here in the east. Big Atlantic ridge in the long term continues. It's an east-west narrow ridge. So that would mean that most systems, any kind of tropical waves, will probably want to move in a westward direction over the longer term. So in terms of just what it looks like on the maps, by the way, this pattern is pretty much consistent on all the models, both the European, actually the European, the Canadian, and the GFS, although they have their usual day-to-day variations. So we get into those thunderstorms possibly late tonight. I don't think there's going to be much activity on Friday for my area of the Northeast. And Saturday, I think, for the most part, looks to be okay. Then we get back into very warm and humid conditions. Kind of a bit of a warm front, cold front scenario setting up here for Sunday. So at least for New England, maybe down to about New York City, there might be a bit of an onshore flow early on, so that could hold temperatures down a bit. And it does produce some downpours and thunderstorms on Sunday and Sunday night. And then you've got that when that trough swings around, looks like it wants to bring some showers and thunderstorms here later Monday into Tuesday. Monday would be a very warm to hot, humid day. And then here's our little shot of dry air for the middle part of next week. Nothing especially grand, but it'll be enough to bring the temperatures down a bit and the humidity levels down a bit as well. And then by Thursday, we go back to the very warm to hot conditions for a day or two until another front comes through the weekend of July 29th and 30th, and then maybe another dry air mass to lower the humidities and temperatures a bit for that particular weekend, and then on it goes. So it's pretty much, the same story. And, just backing it up for the West, give you an idea of with the West, it's all the same typical summertime there, diurnal showers and thunderstorms. You don't have anything unusual. Notice that, by the way, we still have this almost unrelenting activity of showers and thunderstorms going on in the upper Midwest, being that it's kind of lying on the edge of the jet stream. It's too far north. The jet is just far enough north to bring it into the hot air, but just far enough south to create, a boundary zone, let's call it a conflict zone between cooler air to the north and the hot air that's out to the west. So we keep getting thunderstorms in that part of the country. And here, by the way, is another hurricane that the GFS wants to make out in the Pacific that it takes out. But again, not much change from respect from the standpoint of the longer term. Okay, folks, that's it for today. Have a great day. Stay cool and comfortable in the east. Get yourself into a swimming pool. If you don't have a pool, make friends with people who do, or head to the beach. And thank you for all of you subscribing to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it very much. You can just hit the subscribe button and join the group so you get notified when live videos come along. And I try to get those in there, maybe not every day, but at least a few times a week. And when the weather picks up and starts to get very active, we'll try to do those live streams a bit longer. Website, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, Angry Ben on nycweathernow.com. And when you're on my website, you can download my app and subscribe to my forecast for New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, Connecticut, Hudson Valley, and Eastern Pennsylvania. The app is free, and it's just 99 cents a month for your particular zone. All right, have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.